Hello, I'm Tom Meeks, and this is 3D Design for Fun and Life, featuring Moment of Inspiration, using the uniquely easy noun and verb method.
This session is Rect Noun Group.
When we say that we use a noun and verb method, we mean that we combine objects, nouns, with actions, verbs, made available to us in Moment of Inspiration through menu pads. The first menu pad contains all of the nouns we will use in Moment of Inspiration. Pads 2, 3, and 4 contain all the verbs. Menu pad 1 has 2 tabs. The first is labeled Draw Curves. This is where we find our 2D nouns. If we click on Draw Curves, the menu pad expands to reveal buttons for accessing 8 2D drawing groups. Group 3 is Rect for rectangle. Clicking on the Rect Group button reveals that there are 3 ways to make a rectangle: corner, center, and 3 points. Each of these methods offers the option to draw the rectangle with rounded corners. The corner method. The corner method requires 2 steps. When we click on the corner method button, the prompt reads Pick Corner Point. When we click the left mouse button, the prompt changes to Pick Other Corner. Moving the mouse or entering values into the width and height text boxes sizes the rectangle. Clicking the left mouse button completes the rectangle. We'll create another corner rectangle to show that checking the Rounded Corners option adds one more step. Once the dimensions of the rectangle have been defined, we are asked to pick Round Radius, which we can do using the mouse or entering a value in the radius text box. With both types of rectangles complete and Object Snap turned on, the different snaps that are available with the regular and rounded rectangles can be demonstrated. With the regular rectangle, we have end, on, mid, and center snaps. The center snap is located in the center of the rectangle. With the Rounded Corners rectangle, the center snaps are located at the center of the radius of each rounded corner, but there is no center snap for the entire rectangle. If we have selected the Show Edit Frame option on the Options View tab, we can size and rotate the rectangle using the Edit Frame handles. The Center method. Clicking on the Center Rectangle method brings up the Pick Center Point prompt. When we click on the left mouse button to select the center point, the prompt changes to Pick Corner Point. We can do this by moving the mouse or entering values into the width and height text boxes. Again, if the Rounded Corners option is checked, a step is added, and we are asked to pick Round Radius, which we do using the mouse or entering a value in the radius text box. The 3 points method. The 3 points rectangle method is extremely useful. It requires selecting 3 different values. The first prompt says Pick Base Point. When we do so, we are prompted to pick Width Point. Now the width can be oriented in any direction. We move to any point in the view window. If we choose to enter a value in the width text box, it will constrain the length of the line, but not the angle of the line. Finally, clicking to finalize the width causes the prompt to change to Pick Height Point. The height is always oriented 90 degrees to the width line. We move the mouse or enter a height value and finalize using the left mouse button. Again, the Rounded Corners option adds one more step. Once the corner rectangle is complete, We can see the bounding box that contains it by typing bounding box into the text box in the lower middle of the screen. The edit frame handles for the corner rectangle correspond to the bounding box, not the angled rectangle sides. Well, I hope this is going to be a fun project, and we're going to do things a little bit differently this time. First of all, most of us have had nieces, nephews, children, grandchildren that enjoyed using these little wooden trains that run on wooden tracks. Sometimes those pieces are missing, and sometimes we would like to have a crossover or something like that that is not in the set that we have. We're going to be talking about creating a crossover that can be used with these wooden tracks. Now, normally we might use an image as the basis of our doing reverse engineering on our train track. But this time we're going to be using a PDF file. And a PDF file in Moment of Inspiration is very useful because when you import certain types of PDF files, and this is one of them, that have vector graphics, you actually get the curves that you need. These are exactly like the curves that we draw in Moment of Inspiration. I'm going to move these over to make them more useful. Let's first align on the vertical center. Now this is aligning the whole drawing, and we're going to align on the horizontal center. Unfortunately, this does not center up our rectangle that we're going to be working with. So we're going to make sure that we move that using the move command and center on the piece that we're really focusing on, which is the track. We find the midpoint of the track, we click on it, and then use the construction lines that we see to make sure we stay right in line. And we have that now centered on this direction, but we need to check the center in the other direction as well. So we come here, go to move, find the midpoint on the track along the top, and move that over to the Y. And now the track is centered. The reason we want it centered is because we're going to be making a crossover. Normally, these tracks have a key that is cut in on one side and sticks out on the other side, so that this key would be on this side and would go into this receptacle to make the tracks. We're going to make a crossover, so we can't really be sure which key is going to be needed. So all of the end pieces are going to be cut keyed, and we're going to create our own keys that can be used to make up for whatever key that we need. And that's right here. First of all, let's see how tall we have to make it. This part of the drawing says that the total track height is 9 plus 3, or 12. So we're going to click on this. We're going to say construct extrude, and we're going to enter a value of 12. We will immediately click once, say fillet, chamfer, 0.8, and we now have created a key. I'm going to move it out of the way, but we can make as many copies of that as we want to make up for any keys that we might need to use with our other pieces. And this makes up for the fact that we're keyed internally, not externally, on all of these pieces. I'll show you what I mean. Now, we're going to make the crossover. We have a rectangle that represents the 150 by 40 of the track. We have two rectangles that represent the where the train's wheels are going to go, and they're going to be indented. And then we have the keys on either end. I'm going to copy those now. Edit, copy, paste, transform, rotate. And we're going to rotate that 90 degrees so that we have our crossover. The first thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to lift these track frames up and also these keys up above 12 millimeters. We do that so that when we extrude the track itself, the basic track, we can still see these items. So I'm going to go to the front view, align, and we're just going to go up quite high, 20 millimeters. Go to the top. Now we'll extrude the basic track rectangle, construct extrude 12, and we'll go ahead and Boolean union. As you can see, because we lifted up these frames, we can now see them. It doesn't matter what height these keys are because we're going to use Boolean diff. And as you remember, when you take a Boolean diff and you have a 3D object and you're cutting it with 2D objects, it doesn't matter where those 2D objects are, they're going to cut clear through. So we take these keys, say done, and it cut clear through. Doesn't matter how tall or how far away, they're going to go clear through. It does matter about these, however, because we're going to have to use extrude, and we'll be cutting with a 3D object that we've created from these frames. Let me go to the front. We'll go ahead and bring those profiles down right on top. And then we're going to go construct extrude. We're going to extrude 3. Remember that indentation for the wheels is 3 millimeters, but we're going to use both sides, and we'll show you why. We got 3, and we'll go 3D view. You'll notice now that it's very easy for us to grab the pieces that we're going to use to cut those tracks. We grab our basic part, Boolean diff, and now we can click on this extended part of the solids that we extruded both ways and say done. We now have all of our tracks cut in. Just to get these out of the way so that they're not in our way when we go to the next step, I'm going to delete the frames that we use to create those cutters. In the next step, we could grab all of the edges and chamfer them. But it's easier to grab the faces, and it's better to grab the faces. So I'm going to grab one of the faces by double clicking on it. Then I just single click all of the other faces. Much easier to capture faces. All of these faces now have been selected, and when we say fillet chamfer 0.8 done, you'll see that it not only chamfered the edges so the wheels can fit down there a little easier, we've also chamfered the keys. We're going to do one other operation. We're going to go on the bottom and click the bottom twice and chamfer. Now this is not to make it look better or work better, except for one thing. It's going to help us when we go to remove the part off of the 3D printer bed, because it allows us to have a little bit of leverage when we put a palette knife underneath the part to lift it up off of the bed. And there we have our 3D crossover. Now the great part about this is once you learn how to do this, you don't have to rotate these objects 90 degrees to each other. You could rotate the second one 60 degrees or 30 degrees and get some completely unique crossover effects. And I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed seeing how easy it is to use a PDF file and how valuable rectangles are. Great. Love this project. This is 3D design for fun and life. 3D design courseware based on Moment of Inspiration by Tom Meeks.
All three rectangle methods, corner, center, or 3 points, provide important and versatile functionality in Moment of Inspiration. While the rectangle drawing tools are powerful, rectangles can be brought into Moment of Inspiration from other sources through the PDF import capability that is new to version 4. No matter how or where our 2D rectangles are created, the result is the same. Fun and useful 3D designs to enhance our lives. And, perhaps more importantly, the lives of those we love.